Remember when gaming YouTubers used to actually cover gaming? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Once upon a time, gaming ruled YouTube. Reviews, let's plays and retrospectives pulled in millions of viewers, and whole careers were built on little more than a controller, a microphone and a half-decent capture card. But now, those channels are either changing or fading away. The fact of the matter is that gaming YouTube hasn't just declined, it's collapsing. So, bearing this in mind, the mystery isn't whether gaming creators are dying out. The numbers prove they are. The mystery is why. Why are channels that once thrived now pivoting to politics or just disappearing altogether? And most importantly, what does that tell us about the future of gaming content itself? Today we'll be pulling back the curtain on what I'm calling the death of the gaming YouTuber. It's a story about algorithms, greed and the hollowing out of a culture, but also about survival in a system designed to kill what so many of us once loved. I am Lady Decade. If you like spicy gaming content, then hit subscribe, as this is why a lot of gaming YouTubers aren't really making that much in the way of gaming content anymore. Gaming channels focusing on gaming might be dropping like flies at the moment, but don't worry, there's still one place where you can always come out on top. Forget worrying about algorithms or ad revenue. The real battleground is your wallet, and you can get up to 90% off of thousands of titles if you're clever enough not to pay full retail. From nearly half of the brilliant Expedition 33 to huge discounts on Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong, plus thousands more across PC and console. There has never been a better time to stock up and play the best for less. Use my links down below, as not only will you get great deals, but it will help the channel massively. Happy shopping, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. When we talk about why gaming channels have disappeared from YouTube, let's talk about one of the main culprits that often gets the blame: the big bad YouTube algorithm. It's a cold, hard fact that around 70% of all views on the platform don't come from direct searches or subscriptions, they instead come from recommendations. In practice, this means the algorithm isn't just a background mechanic, it's the engine that decides who succeeds and who fades into irrelevance. For gaming creators, that simple fact shapes everything. All signs indicate that at present the system simply doesn't favour gaming. For example, a 2023 study by the University of Arkansas analysed nearly 700,000 YouTube shorts and found that once users spent even a modest amount of time watching political videos, the recommendation engine actively shifted them away from neutral or hobbyist content and deeper into political material. Instead of circling back to gaming or other entertainment niches, the system built momentum that kept pushing viewers further into politics. Other researchers have described the same tendency in stronger terms. A report by the Pew Research Center noted that YouTube's recommendations often funneled users towards partisan politics and religious content, regardless of their viewing history. In other words, even apolitical viewers who only dabbled in political videos were nudged further down that path. For gaming creators, no matter how loyal their audiences might have been, they are currently competing against an algorithm with a built-in gravitational pull towards controversy. The reason for this is simple: the algorithm is designed to reward emotion. As one analysis in The Atlantic observed, the system rewards immediate emotional responses, anger, outrage and strong reactions more than thoughtful game analysis. By its very nature, a careful 22-minute review of an RPG simply cannot compete with a fiery reaction to a political scandal. The result is that gaming content, especially reviews, retrospectives or let's plays, are structurally disadvantaged. It doesn't trigger the spikes of engagement the system wants. Political and cultural commentary, on the other hand, is practically tailor-made for YouTube's recommendation system: reactive, emotional, and endlessly renewable. Once a creator steps into that space, their videos are more likely to be boosted and shown to wider audiences, reinforcing the shift. So, when people ask why gaming YouTubers began devoting more time to politics, the answer isn't as simple as personal preference. The algorithm itself has been rigged to favour controversy over analysis. For creators, that has meant adapting to the system or being buried by it. Even if the algorithm stacked the deck against gaming, you might expect that the sheer size of the global gaming audience would keep that category afloat. After all, gaming is one of the largest entertainment industries in the world, but the numbers tell a very different story. YouTube gaming has been hemorrhaging viewers at a pace that should alarm anyone still relying on it. At the height of the pandemic in Q4 of 2020, YouTube gaming was flying high, recording nearly 1.92 billion hours watched in a single quarter. By Q3 of 2024, so we're looking at August, September and October of 2024, that figure had collapsed to just 1.59 billion hours, a 27% decline in the space of merely a few months, the steepest quarterly drop since viewership was first tracked. To put it bluntly, gaming on YouTube didn't just slow down, it fell off a cliff. And this drop hit certain creators especially hard. According to surveys included in industry reports, mid-tier gaming channels, the bread and butter of YouTube's ecosystem, saw ad revenue fall between 50 and 90% recently. Even channels with more than 1 million subscribers are not immune, with some losing half their views and up to 80% of their ad revenue income. For creators who had built their livelihoods on gaming content, this is nothing short of an extinction-level event. The audience that once sustained gaming coverage on YouTube just simply doesn't seem to be there anymore, or at least they're not on YouTube anyway. So while algorithmic bias explains why political content was getting boosted, the raw collapse in gaming viewership explains why so many creators are abandoning ship. The cold reality is, it is tough to sustain yourself on an increasingly shrinking platform for gaming. For many creators, the writing has been on the wall: stay loyal to pure gaming coverage and watch their livelihoods evaporate, or pivot into something with actual growth potential. In short, creators didn't wake up one day and decide to talk about politics instead of games. They were forced into it by collapsing numbers, falling revenues, and a platform that no longer seemed to value gaming content. But there are even more reasons that feed into why the gaming YouTuber is in decline. So let's dig another layer deeper. If the algorithm tilted the field and viewership was collapsing, the final nail in the coffin for gaming creators was economics, because at the end of the day, YouTube isn't just about the views, it's about whether you can actually make a living. And when you compare what creators earn across different niches, it becomes painfully obvious as to why so many jumped ship. On average, gaming CPM, so costs per 1,000 views, the basic measure of ad revenue, sits at around $2. Political commentary, by contrast, usually earns between $4.50 and $8, while finance and business channels can push above $12. Put simply, a political video with the same view count as a gaming review could generate 2 to 3 times the income, and a finance video 6 times more. To those creators who were already struggling with declining audiences, those differences weren't just tempting, they were decisive. Sponsorships, which had once provided stability for gaming creators, have also been drying up, according to an analysis published by GamesIndustry.biz. Major sponsorship contracts have dried up, with esports organisations wary of spending millions on gaming creators. Agencies admitted it had become a lot more difficult to find brand-safe influencers in gaming compared to 2 years earlier. Some even demanded creators avoid political topics during election cycles, while paradoxically treating gaming itself as politically risky due to its association with toxic communities and violent imagery. This has helped create a perfect storm. So when audiences ask why don't creators just stick to gaming if that's what they built their channels on, the honest answer is simple: they haven't been able to afford to. With collapsing views, half the ad rate of political commentary, and dwindling sponsorships, creators have only 2 real choices: pivot into new territory or quit entirely. Most who survived chose to pivot. Even if YouTube's algorithm and monetization policies had been friendlier to gaming, creators would still have faced a serious problem. The gaming industry itself doesn't currently give us much to work with. For years, YouTubers could rely on a steady flow of single-player releases, expansions, and sequels to keep their channels active, but recently, that flow has slowed to a trickle. AAA game budgets that once sat between $50 and $150 million now regularly reach $200 to $300 million, and in some cases more than $1 billion once marketing is factored in. One studio, according to financial filings, spent $660 million on development and a further $550 million on marketing for a single franchise entry. Numbers like these make publishers extremely risk-averse. Experimentation is rare and resources are funneled into safe, familiar franchises. Even those franchises are far from guaranteed. In 2023 alone, 42 major projects were cancelled. By mid-2025, the list of casualties included The Last of Us Online, Project Odyssey, Battlefield Mobile, Wonder Woman, Perfect Dark, Everwild, and EA's Black Panther. For YouTubers, each cancellation wasn't just a disappointment as a player, it was the loss of months of potential content. When games disappear mid-development, so too do the stories creators rely on to feed their channels. The industry's obsession with live service models has made the situation worse. Unlike single-player titles, live service games produce very little variety for content creators. Instead of in-depth reviews, story analysis, or long retrospectives, YouTubers are left with patch notes, seasonal updates, and balance changes. The result is coverage that quickly becomes repetitive. As one industry analysis put it, creators are trapped in cycles of covering lawsuits, pricing controversies, and studio closures, leading to audience fatigue. Of course, indie games have provided some relief. Titles like Palworld and Expedition 33 broke sales records and earned rave reviews, showing that innovation is still alive. But less than 0.1% of indie projects ever achieve comparable success. Expecting 1 or 2 viral hits a year to sustain thousands of gaming channels worldwide simply isn't realistic. The combination of ballooning budgets, risk-averse publishers, repetitive live service content, and waves of cancellations has created what can only be described as a content desert. Creators aren't abandoning gaming because they've lost interest, they're being forced elsewhere because the industry isn't producing enough material for them to cover. For the first time in decades, the pipeline that once sustained gaming media has broken down, and that breakdown has left YouTubers scrambling to fill the void with whatever topics still generate engagement. But in this modern world of content creation, some creators are doing very, very well. If there's one figure who illustrates this shift from gaming coverage to political commentary, it's Asmongold. For over a decade, Zach Hoyt was known almost exclusively for his World of Warcraft streams. From 2011 through to the late 2010s, he built a reputation as the go-to voice for WoW commentary. By 2025, his output looked very different. His alternate channel, Zach Raw, had become Twitch's most watched political channel, drawing millions of hours of viewership and surpassing even established news streamers. This transition wasn't random. Political content on Twitch more than tripled in viewership between early and late 2024, and Asmongold was perfectly positioned to seize that growth. As one industry analysis put it, by 2025, political commentary constituted a major component of his content, reflecting broader market forces. In other words, this wasn't necessarily a matter of personal preference. This was a rational move in the direction that the audience and the money were heading. Part of his success comes down to circumstance. Unlike many YouTubers and streamers balancing other jobs or family obligations, Asmongold had the lifestyle that allowed him to stream endlessly. Being able to go live for marathon sessions meant he could capture political flashpoints as they happened and ride the algorithm's wave in real time. Most creators simply don't have that option. In that sense, he was lucky as well as skilled, a shut-in who could dedicate extraordinary amounts of time to capitalising on a shifting landscape. That doesn't make his pivot any less telling. His streams now routinely draw between 60,000 and 300,000 concurrent viewers, sometimes rivaling the audiences of cable news networks. When he covers a political controversy, his clips can rack up millions of views on YouTube within days. That level of engagement dwarfs anything possible through gaming coverage alone. And the example he set hasn't gone unnoticed. Other gaming personalities, such as Young Ye, have made similar moves of folding cultural and political commentary into their once gaming exclusive channels. Asmongold may be the most visible, but he isn't unique. The broader pattern is unmistakable. Creators who once defined themselves by their coverage of games are now defined by their takes on the culture surrounding them. So, while Asmongold's case is extreme, it proves the rule rather than breaking it. The pivot to politics isn't about abandoning gaming so much as it is about survival. When your audience grows larger, your revenue doubles or triples and your engagement spikes every time you branch into cultural or political topics, it would be irrational not to follow that path. For creators, the choice is clear. Either adapt to the new incentives or risk being left behind. So far, we've looked at these structural forces, the algorithm, the revenue gap, and the industry's content drought. But to really understand why creators pivoted to politics, we also need to look at the audience, because while money and algorithms explain the supply side, parasocial engagement explains the demand side. Audiences no longer just want to be entertained, they want to feel connected. And research published in the Journal of Political Communication noted that viewers form deeper connections with creators who share personal opinions on broad cultural issues, rather than those who simply review games. Political content provides that sense of intimacy in a way that gaming rarely can. The numbers show how behaviour has shifted. According to data from Stream Hatchet, gaming audiences now spend an average of 8.5 hours a week watching gaming-related content, compared to just 7.4 hours actually playing games. But those hours aren't going into long-form reviews or Let's Plays. Instead, they're spent on drama, reactions, and personality-driven commentary. Basically, viewers are far less interested in hearing someone breaking down combat mechanics than they are about a familiar voice weighing in on an issue that they care about. Political commentary also gives creators a toolkit for building stronger parasocial bonds. Communication researchers identify 4 key dimensions of perceived authenticity: consistency, intimacy, ordinariness, and immediacy. Talking about politics ticks all 4 boxes. Creators share unfiltered opinions, often in real time, and present themselves as ordinary people reacting alongside their audience. That immediacy makes viewers feel as though they now know the creator personally, and that intimacy often translates into loyalty, engagement, and even financial support. Gaming content struggles to replicate this. A Let's Play is about the game, not the person. A review is about mechanics and graphics, not values and beliefs. Even carefully produced retrospectives rarely give viewers the sense that they're participating in an ongoing cultural conversation. Political content, by contrast, is never finished. Every election, every controversy, every breaking headline provides new opportunities for creators and their audiences to interact. This is why so many gaming content creators described feeling trapped. When they stuck to gaming, they got surface level engagement, a handful of likes, the occasional comment, maybe a share. But when they voiced an opinion on a political or cultural issue, the response was overwhelming. Communities formed around them, debates raged in their comment sections, and viewers pledged long-term support. The shift wasn't only financial, it was psychological. In short, politics offers what gaming can't: a deeper, more personal bond between creator and audience. That bond not only keeps viewers watching, it keeps them coming back, commenting, donating, and spreading the word. For those creators fighting to survive in a shrinking market, that kind of loyalty is priceless. If the algorithm sets the rules and parasocial bonds gave creators an edge, then culture war framing turned it all into a money printing machine. Once politics began bleeding into gaming, creators discovered they could take almost any gaming topic and reframe it as a political or cultural flashpoint, instantly multiplying its reach and profitability. The flexibility of this approach is what makes it so effective. A character's design is no longer just an artistic decision, it becomes a debate about cultural values, beauty standards, or so-called wokeness. A round of layoffs at a major studio is no longer business news, it becomes an opening to talk about capitalism, corporate greed, or mismanagement. Even something as simple as review scores can be reframed as evidence of bias or ideological capture. The game itself often becomes secondary to the argument that it generates. The numbers prove that works. According to engagement studies cited in gamesindustry.biz, political or culture war gaming content generates 400% more comments than standard reviews. On YouTube, where engagement drives recommendations, that difference is enormous. The Sweet Baby Inc. controversy in early 2024 provides the clearest example. A group of creators and Steam curators accused a consultancy firm of shaping character design decisions to push diversity and inclusion initiatives. Whatever you thought of the claims, the controversy was viral gold. The Sweet Baby Inc. detected curator group grew from 9,000 to 200,000 followers within a few months. Some creators reported enormous subscriber and view spikes during the peak, making it the single most profitable period of their careers. And Sweet Baby wasn't unique. Black Myth Wukong became a cultural event rather than just a game. Many creators framed their success as an anti-woke victory, and the framing worked. Subscriber counts jumped, and videos on the game drew in millions of views. By turning a popular release into a proxy culture war, creators were able to rally audiences around something far bigger than combat mechanics or art design. The financial incentive here is undeniable as well. The political gaming content typically earns higher CPMs compared to gaming's normal $2. During election cycles, those rates can double again, and on top of that, creators often see boosts in Patreon growth, merchandise sales are tied to identity politics, and Twitch's favourable 95-5 splits for politically charged streams. All of this adds up to an ecosystem where culture war content isn't just more popular, it's significantly more profitable. Creators didn't invent these incentives, they simply adapted to them. The cultural monetization machine rewards those who turn every game into a proxy battle in a wider political struggle. For viewers, it scratches the itch of both entertainment and tribal identity. For creators, it transforms shaky gaming revenue into a sustainable business model. So when you see gaming YouTubers spending more time debating representation in Assassin's Creed than reviewing the game itself, it isn't an accident, it's economics. Culture war framing has become the most reliable way to keep audiences engaged, the algorithm satisfied, and revenue flowing. When you put all of the pieces together, the story of gaming's disappearance from YouTube is less about personal choices and more about structural inevitabilities. Algorithms built to reward outrage and emotion shifted audiences away from games. Viewership collapsed at unprecedented rates, with YouTube gaming losing more than a quarter of its watch hours in a single quarter. Revenues followed the same pattern, with gaming CPMs languishing near the bottom, while political commentary routinely paid double or triple. The gaming industry itself compounded the problem by cancelling projects, dragging out development cycles, and prioritising live service models that offered little variety for coverage. And as all of this was happening, the institutions of gaming journalism imploded, leaving a vacuum that creators filled not with reporting but with culture war commentary. In many ways, it was a perfect storm. Every force, technical, economic, industrial, and cultural, conspired against gaming creators at once. Even those determined to stick to games had to face plummeting views and evaporating sponsorships. When political content was not only safer but far more profitable, the pivot wasn't about selling out, it was about survival. So, where does that leave gaming content today? The golden age of pure gaming channels is over. The future belongs to hybrids, creators who treat games as one strand in a broader conversation about culture, politics, and identity. For some, that's an opportunity to grow bigger than ever before. For others, it marks the end of focused gaming communities that once thrived on the platform. But either way, one thing is certain: gaming YouTube didn't fade because people lost interest in games. It was hollowed out by algorithms, economics and industry failures, and cultural shifts that made politics the dominant form of entertainment. And unless those forces change, the trend isn't going to reverse. Gaming creators face the same stark choice they've faced for years now: adapt or disappear. And speaking of adapting, through my affiliate links, you can get up to 90% off of thousands of titles, from nearly half off the brilliant Expedition 33 to huge discounts on Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong, plus thousands more across PC and console. And there has never been a better time to stock up and play the best for less. So use my links down below, as not only will you get great deals, but it will also help out this channel massively. Or if you want to support what I do in a more personal way and access my behind the scenes cosplay library and more by becoming a backer over on Patreon. I'll see you all again soon.